he is. Yay! I love it. That's awesome. Okay. Thank you. I think we're good. I think we're going to start. Thank you for everyone in attendance. We did our last town hall meeting, which was, I guess this is pretty good. I'm wondering if I'm out of the image or not. Can't remember where to stand. Jen, did you take a peek at the screen? Am I okay? Okay. Little paranoia today. I don't know what's going on. But our last meeting in December, we did a little bit more of an informal conversation. The resident council had not met in December. Subsequent to that, they did meet last week. So there's a bunch of things in here. So we've gone back to a little bit of a new format. I do want to thank Jennifer, our celebrations director. She helped me. I wanted to modify the presentation so you can see. You never used to see that before. You can see the clubhouse. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I thought it was different. So I had used the same format for a couple of years, so she changed it up a little bit, and she added a little bit of color to it. So, all right, here we go. So today is January 20th. It is our town hall meeting.
January 30th.
January 30th? What? Did I say 20?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's one of those days. Did anybody watch the 10 o'clock update this morning?
Yeah.
And anybody? So I shared with the people at 10 o'clock this morning that on Sunday I ran a marathon. And I think that's what's happening. I think there's something wrong. My legs still hurt, my body still hurts, my brain is probably not functioning. January 30th is the town hall meeting. So we'll talk about the resident council discussion at their meeting. We are I'll give you a little update on the representation, building representative election or potential elections that could happen. It is an election year, isn't it? 2024?
Yep.
Residential building renovations. I'll give you an update on where we stand with some outstanding items. I'll do a few department updates, which should be helpful. And then we'll do a little Q&A, question and answer session at the end, okay? So this was a topic of conversation with the resident council, tree trimming. We've actually, we have put this on hold. There are still many trees that are still outstanding that do need tree trimming. We're gonna start again in the spring. The spring starts sometime in March, so I don't have a specific date, but we're targeting to start sometime in the March, April, maybe late April timeframe to get the remaining, all the tree trimming done. Prior to, the goal is always try to get it done prior to peak hurricane season, right? Which hurricane season starts, we know it starts in June. However, the peak of the season is really as you get to the end of July into August and September through October. So we're focused on starting that again in the spring. As soon as I have specific dates, I will share those with the residents so you're aware of when it's going to happen. Primarily the palm trees, there's many palm trees that need to be addressed, and the hardwood trees will be addressed also. I'd like everyone to know, because I have this conversation on occasion for clarification purposes, the trimming is done for one of two reasons. Safety and the health of the tree. Not because someone's view is blocked. Because I do get that often. Oh, that tree now that's grown, I can't see Tiburon Golf Club, or I can't see the golfer on whatever hole that is on Tiburon. So we do not just cut because of views, it's really based on safety and the health of the tree. Capital project list, we are in January, even though we're at the end of January. Every year we get a list of projects that are approved from our ownership. I am waiting to get the final list. We have received our operational budget, so we know what we can do from an operations standpoint, but this list will come. Once we get it, I started this practice last year with the resident council. I'll share the list of projects that we have on our list. So as soon as I get that, I share that information with the resident council. Parking stickers are still outstanding. There should be a parking sticker on each and every vehicle that parks on the campus. We did a little bit of a blitz over the last little while. We're gonna try to ramp that up again because we noticed that there are still many vehicles without stickers on them, so we would really like your help. If you have a sticker, great. If some of your friends do not, please let them know that they need to fill out a form at the front desk, and then we can sticker the vehicle. If any of you have people that come in to help, sometimes residents might have some private duty help that comes, those vehicles need to be stickered also. Okay, so, and if you have, the other piece of this is if you have a consistent guest, we could also probably sticker their vehicle so we know who's who on the campus. We're trying to identify as many vehicles as we can. Our security team is gonna start placing reminders and notes on vehicles that are not stickered to remind them of that. Okay, so we're really gonna do a bit of a campaign here to try to get to maybe not 100%, but as close as we can to 100%. These requests need to go to the concierge desk. The other item that came up at the resident council is there's suggestion boxes that are placed in each one of the lobbies of each residential building. Those are managed by the resident council, the building representatives. We've noticed that people are putting like little snippets of paper in those boxes that are like maybe like this size, and it's kind of hard to retrieve them and it's hard to read them. So if you could use a fuller size sheet of paper to write your suggestions, that would be helpful. We would really like for you to include your name and your apartment so that the council representatives or the building representatives can follow up, right? If there's any follow-up questions, it would be nice. I know some people are like, well, I don't want to identify myself. I want to do it, anonymous. I get it, but it's helpful for us to any follow-up questions, or helpful for the resident council for follow-up questions, because we do not man these and we do not manage these. It's by the resident council. The other item, and we started sharing this with residents, is people leave personal items, probably that they don't want anymore, that's probably why they leave them, in common areas. So in lobbies, on a table, on a chair, I want to share this, or even some people leave something on a table and they put a little sign, free or pick up. It really does create clutter in the common areas, so we would appreciate that you do not do that. If you want to donate something, there's many organizations in Naples that do that type of work. Our team is going to be trained to discard those items. Okay, so they've been a little hesitant to do that, not knowing what to do. We're going to be training the staff that if they see something, they're going to pick it up and they will discard it. Okay. Roof cleaning was a topic of conversation. There is not a roof cleaning project for 2024. So what that means, the barrel tile roofs on all of the buildings will not be cleaned in 2024. The ownership is going through a detailed, and they do this annually, but going through a detailed assessment of the life expectancy of the roofs. And depending on who you speak to, could last 30 years, some people say 25, some people say 35, who knows, right? What we do know is that the community is in its 25th year or 24th year of operation. So this is something that is on the radar. Once again, I said they'll not be clean, but we're doing a full assessment to see what that life expectancy is and when eventually they will need to be replaced, because that's gonna come in the foreseeable future. We also got a comment at the resident council that there was a boil water notice last week. Sorry, I'm losing track of the days. With the feedback we got, we were a little too slow in executing that notice, so for that, we apologize. In the future, we're gonna try to be a little bit quicker with the response time. There was some conversation about the boil notice being lifted on the Monday evening. We did double check that, and our sources told us that it was lifted that Monday evening. And I know some residents were telling them that it wasn't, but we checked with the county, and I think they lifted it at 10 o'clock that night. But in the future, getting that notice out a little bit quicker to the residents will be helpful. There was over the weekend, I think it was on a Sunday, there was a water break in one location that created a decrease in the pressure in the system, and that's why there were some issues with the water. Okay. So the resident council election 2024. So the even numbered buildings, along with the villas, this is their year, right? So remember the even numbered years, even numbered building with the villas. They'll be nominating an individual. If there's multiple nominations for a building, there'll be an election, and that's for a 2-year term. Okay? So that's when I say full term, a full term is a 2-year term. In Building 7, unfortunately, due to the passing of Mrs. Ruskin, who was the building representative in 2023, we will be seeking someone for a 1-year term. So someone can be nominated for Building 7 this year. However, they will only do 1 year, and they'll be up for election again or renewal again in 2025. Okay? If you are interested or you know someone who's interested, you must issue a statement of interest. That statement of interest needs to be in writing. It cannot just be, oh, I'm interested. You need to write something. Ideally, maybe a little bio, a little resume is helpful. That needs to be given to Mr. Bill Hyatt, who's the president of the resident council, no later than February 20th. The best way to do that is to email Bill. Okay, and we've published this, we're gonna continue to publish it. You don't have to write it down, we're gonna continue to give you that information, but that is his email address. Okay? We will then take those statements of interest. If there's multiple, let's say for Building 2, for example, there's 2 or 3 people that put their statement in or put their nomination in, then we will issue those statements to the residents in that building no later than February 27th. So you will know who those candidates are for your building. If there's multiple nominations, once again, then we'll hold an election for that specific building or villa homes. And the election day will be held on March 12th. That election, you may vote only for your building, okay? So if you're in 2, you vote for 2, you can't vote for the other buildings. The villas will hold their election on the 12th in the main clubhouse lobby. The other buildings will hold it in their buildings lobby. Okay, so there'll be somebody located there to do the election. And the voting will happen from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. No advanced voting, no mail order in or order whatever voting, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Each and every resident who resides in that building will be able to vote. So sometimes I get the question, 2 people that live in an apartment, it's 2 votes. Each person gets to vote. So if there's a couple and you don't agree, you get to do whatever you want. Vote for whoever you want. Okay. Residential building renovations, there's some items that are outstanding. The cab updates are one of those outstanding items. I received confirmation that starting on March 5th, we will be refurbishing the interior portion of the elevator cabs. Okay, I specify that again. Refurbishing the interior, right? The walls, the ceiling, all of those things will get updated. Each elevator is going to take approximately 2 to 3 days to do. So there will be some temporary closures of the service while they do certain things. So they'll be to be determined, but they'll be interrupted on a part-time basis, I'll say. We will schedule all of this in advance. We are gonna do our best to limit the interruptions to off hours. Okay, so we're not gonna shut the elevator down from 3:30 in the afternoon till 7 o'clock at night. Okay, we're gonna do, when we do some work, we're gonna stay off of the peak hours relative to elevators, but be prepared that there will be some small closures there. The signage, so the names, all the signage on the walls, all of that will be installed the week of February 26th. So they're gonna go building to building to building and complete all of the new installation of the signs. I'm still waiting for a date for the furniture pieces that will be replaced. Those are primarily as you exit one of the elevators. There's a piece, and in some cases there's not a piece, on the wall that's on the right-hand side as you exit. We're waiting for new furniture to match some of the existing furniture. Some of the old pieces that are there will be removed and the new will replace it. So I'm still waiting for a date on that. Please remember that in the residential building apartments, you should not have any personal items outside of your doorway. And I know sometimes, most people, keep it within that doorway, but I've seen some cases where people put personal items outside the doorway. We had initially said that we were relocating all of the internal mailboxes, the cubbies. Well, they're not gonna be relocated, okay? So our ownership decided not to relocate those for several reasons. One of the reasons is there was really not one good location to put them. There was some concern with the space available to do it. So they are gonna remain here in the main clubhouse. We have ordered proper, not name, but proper number plates that will be put on those instead of just the P-touch or the sticky piece that's there. Okay, so we're gonna get proper plates that will be positioned on those cubbies, but they will not be relocated. All right. So we did, over the last little while, we've had a couple instances, one primarily instance, I know Lee is here with us, where slow service was a concern, and there was an evening where it was extremely slow for service. So we're fully aware of that. We're looking at different things that we can do. We've already instituted a few things, but I wanted to clarify that the number of staff is not a concern. And I know for those of you that have lived here for several years, we have had challenges with recruiting staff members. We're actually in a pretty good position right now from a staffing standpoint with numbers perspective, so it's not a concern, it's not an issue. Specific to that one night where it was extremely slow, it's really communication between what we call, I put there, FOH and BOH, the front of the house and the back of the house. And the best way to describe this is those two entities, so the front of the house is primarily the servers, and the back of the house is the staff that's working in the kitchen. There's a communication between those two sources that happens on any type of meal service. There's a computer system that we use to communicate back and forth, but there's also a couple key people that play a role to make sure that that communication flow is consistent and it's done properly. And specifically on an evening like the one where we had a long wait period, that communication was faulty. Okay, so we've addressed some of those issues. Training is gonna be a part of that. So we do have some of our staff that are stronger in that position, the communication between the front and the back. We have some others that are not as strong that we're working through training with. But our goal is to really avoid these situations moving forward. And obviously we do appreciate your patience. and continued staff development is gonna be a key. So Lee and Katie and Jeremy are working with their teams to make sure that that communication flow is consistent and it happens properly. All right. Jennifer's with us. I just wanted to highlight some of the fun stuff that she's been organizing, a lot of the activities, a lot of the events. It is the Super Bowl. Everybody know what Super Bowl it is? 58. Ooh, you answered that one really quickly. Super Bowl 58. Who's playing? Who's gonna win?
Kansas City, I hope.
Kansas City, I hope. There's gotta be any San Francisco fans? What? Not a one. You don't like Brock? I thought he was pretty good. All right, we'll be doing an event in the tavern on Super Bowl Sunday, which will be the 11th. Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, he's okay. He's all right. February 13th for Mardi Gras, right? Mardi Gras, we'll have a 4-piece jazz band in the lobby. That's awesome. What time is that, Jen? 4 o'clock. Put that on your schedule. Valentine's Day. So there'll be a Valentine's Day dance in the tavern on Valentine's Day, February 14th. So bring your Valentine, or maybe you'll meet your Valentine. On the 22nd, poolside, we'll be hosting a chili cook-off with our staff. So residents will be testing at your own risk. There will be a disclaimer that you have to sign, but you'll be testing staff chili, the cook-off on February 22nd by the pool. And then on the 9th of February, we have a health fair scheduled for from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. here. So different providers that will come and provide explanations of their services. So it's a short month, but it's a busy month, February. Oh, let me leave that up there. Gina's taking a photo. Did you got it? All right. Okay. This has been a topic of conversation. I haven't even shared this with the resident council. I normally don't do that, but I got the information just lately, so I'm sharing it with all of you. The month of February, we've been discussing with different providers. And we've worked primarily with a couple people from Rizzi Geriatrics, Eileen, who probably many of you know, and Ramona, and they're gonna continue to provide services. So I don't want everybody to run out of here, scurry away and say, oh, they're not gonna be here anymore. They're gonna continue to provide services. However, we've been looking and chatting with some other providers that have a bit of a wider scope of services and that actually have physicians that will come here to the community, okay? So we're gonna be hosting 2 meet and greet events in February for all residents in the community to meet the 2 providers. No obligation on anyone's behalf. You don't have to change physician groups. It's just to meet different providers to see what types of services they provide. So on February 21st at 2:30 p.m., Dr. Holly Dagny will be here with her group to explain the services that they provide, okay? And she is a physician, Dr. Dagny. The following week, on February 27th at 2 p.m., we'll have Dr. Carlos Gutierrez that will be here to talk about their services that they provide. Okay, so we're trying to, one of the things when Rizzi Geriatrics stopped using the office space here, we were looking for some providers that would be interested in expanding those services a little bit. I will be very frank, having a physician, even if they're not here full-time, but they come on occasion, was one of the primary asks, right? So both of these groups are willing to do that. And then there's some other services that they can provide. They have some other specialists that will come to the community. So the 21st and the 27th, and we'll obviously put that in all of our updates and all of the documentation, but 2:30 p.m. and then 2 p.m. on the 27th. All right. So we are continuing pressure cleaning this week. Last week we wanted to do the carport structures in front of building 2. We did not do it because there were too many vehicles that were still parked under the structures, even though we had asked the residents to move them. We're asking again this week. However, this week, we're gonna clean. So I spoke about it in the weekly update on Friday. I spoke about it again this morning. By end of day today, Building 2 residents need to relocate their vehicles north of the carport structures towards the Immokalee entrance. They need to leave them there through Thursday. Friday, they can relocate them back under the structure. We will be, if the vehicles are there tomorrow, our team will be ticketing each vehicle that remains there. So we're gonna put a note. We're also gonna reach out to the resident to give them one last chance to relocate their vehicle, but we need to clean those structures. That's happening on Thursday. So they need to be cleaned. Oh. The wrong button. Ooh, all right, froze there for a second. Vehicles need to be removed. All vehicles need to be removed by end of day today. We will be cleaning regardless on Thursday. Whoop. Okay, and then once again, Friday is the day to move it back. On Friday, in the weekly update, we'll be posting which building is next for next week, and we're gonna continue to roll forward until we complete the entire community. All right. We've also posted elevator protocols, and we've done it in the weekly updates, I think a couple weeks now. We're gonna get them, and I'm not quite sure we need to. Are they on the bulletin boards? Oh, they're already there, okay. So we've also posted those protocols on the bulletin boards in the lobbies of each residential building. So if a resident is unsure and doesn't remember, they can go to that location and see the protocols that are there. We're looking at a potential solution for the interior part of the cabin. We're probably gonna wait until we do the refurbishment of the cabs before posting anything there. But in the meantime, it is on the bulletin boards, and then eventually we'll have something on the inside of the cabin. I will say, thank God, that in my time here, there's only been 1 or 2 instances where a resident has been in an elevator that has stopped functioning. They're actually in the elevator. Most instances, it's when they're trying to get on the elevator and it won't come, where they can't call it, it's not functioning. So having the notice on the board is a good location because residents can go there to consult it. The piece that each and every resident should have unequivocally is if you carry a phone with you, this number should be in your phone. It should be in your contact list. It should be either written after hours security, Aston Gardens, call it night security, call it security. This is the emergency line. So when we're after hours, when the desk is not functioning, the concierge desk, this phone number is active. Okay? It's the after hours security number. All right. Medical transportation, we've also talked a little bit about this in our weekly update, trying to get residents to do this in advance. On any given Monday through Friday, when we do medical transportation for residents, the start time cannot be earlier than 8 a.m. and the last appointment time should not exceed, ideally, 1:30 p.m. And the reason for that is the drivers need to return to the community no later than 3 p.m. Okay? If you do have a situation where you've got a 30-minute appointment and it's not too far away and you can book it at 1:45, okay. But sometimes people have hour-long appointment that they book at 1:45 or 2 o'clock, and then the driver cannot pick them up until 3 o'clock. They need to return to the community by 3 p.m. Please make sure, double check, triple check, that you're providing the accurate address of the provider, okay? And we're also telling our team that they need to verify the address. this is a good piece if you could tell them what type of provider. Not that we're looking for all sorts of information, but is this a dentist? Is it a physician? Is it, I don't know, cardiologist? Sometimes it helps when there's mistakes with the addresses, just to locate where that person needs to go. You must stay at that address for pickup. So some people are like, oh, I'm gonna go do some shopping. Oh, look, I'm gonna go grab myself something to eat over here or coffee. Please stay at that address for pickup. Please try to make the reservation also as long in advance as you can. So if you know that you've got an appointment in 2 months, great. Please go, give us the date, give us the information as far in advance as you can. It just helps from planning purposes. They have to be on a weekday, and then once again, drop off and pick up happens in the same location. If you do fail to cancel, we've just instituted this because it was happening too often, there will be a charge. We're calling it an inconvenience fee. $25. All right, I think this is the last piece I wanted to share. So, how many people know what Feather in a Cap is? Yeah. All right, so it's a program that we've been using. It was in place prior to my arrival, and we've been using it over the last few years. We've come up with a bit of a change, and this is very similar to Feather in a Cap. We're just rebranding it, and we're gonna rename it. It's called the Pillars of Excellence Program. And when we hire our staff and do training, we have what we call some pillars of excellence. So what we'd like the residents to do moving forward is participate in the Pillars of Excellence program. And really, it's a recognition of staff. You recognize the staff, and I know you do this in many different ways, but this is a way for you to put pen to paper and just to recognize the team members a little bit more. You should be recognizing the team members for those that go above and beyond. It doesn't need to be something crazy, but it's just something that's a little bit more than a normal service. These are the pillars, and we're going to be communicating this to everybody over the next few weeks. The pillars are the integrity of the staff, teamwork, the performance, the accountability, the compassion, and the creativity of the staff. So when you're recognizing someone for that above and beyond effort, try to relate it to one of these pillars. So was it something creative that they did? Or was it maybe something compassionate that they did? Was it something based on doing better performance, or was it a teamwork effort, right? What does that look like? And you'll be able to put that in your recognition. We will subsequently, so look for these new cards to be distributed soon. We will subsequently, in our meetings with our directors and our team leaders, we will be recognizing that staff once we receive those cards from residents. So it's called the Pillars of Excellence program. All right. Okay. Questions and answers. Jen, do you have the microphone? Okay. So we'll take some questions. Oh, we gotta run over here.
My question is that I think, first of all the things you told us are really helpful and wonderful. I like the new method you're doing, and I'm sure all of us do. However, what I would like to ask you, no mention is made of the great service that's offered to our residents. If they find themselves at the hospital after midnight or in the afternoon, would you like to cover that out?
I would, and I don't have the number, but we're gonna put it in the weekly update. So I will cover that. Thank you, Nita, for reminding me. I'm just gonna make a note here. So, Pastor Dan, who knows Pastor Dan here? Quite a few people. So there's a non-denominational service every Sunday here at the community, led by Pastor Dan. And Pastor Dan's been doing this, Nita, for quite a while. He was here when I got here. Him and his, 9 years they've been here at the community. Him and his team are willing to help the residents of this community relative to potential emergency type transportation from local hospitals. So after hours, if you find yourself or one of your loved ones in a position where they're at a hospital, at a medical location, and they don't have transportation to get back to the community, they, Pastor Dan's group, will pick up the resident and bring them back home to their apartment, okay? So I'm gonna publish in the weekly update there's a contact phone number. You can also do it after hours through our night security. They're trained, if you call that night security number, they're trained to provide that number for that emergency service. So yes, that is an awesome service that Pastor Dan and his group provide to the residents of Aston Gardens. No questions asked. Thank you for reminding me. What other comments or questions, Mr. Barry?
I think Mark will acknowledge that I'm sometimes a bit of a gadfly, and I walk a lot, and I see a lot, and there's just a couple of questions. And if I'm covering something that's already been covered and I've missed it, please excuse me. The flag is gone from in front.
So it was damaged. We have the new flag. We need the cords, proper cords. They were in bad repair. As soon as we get those cords, we're putting the flag back up.
The other is, probably this is somewhere on your laundry list, but what is the ultimate disposition of some of these derelict vehicles we have? There are about 4 golf carts over by the maintenance shed that are moldering into the ground, and the extra bus.
So believe it or not, the golf carts, we've spoken to 2 different providers. We haven't found somebody who wants to pick them up. So we're looking for someone who's gonna come and pick them up. We don't have the ability to transport them off-site, so as soon as we find somebody who will take them, they'll be gone. And the buses, we're working on getting the title to the bus. So it's an old, we had 2 old buses. We finally got rid of 1, which was awesome. Because of the changes in ownerships at the community over the years, they haven't always changed the title of all the vehicles. And that's the last bus that we're kind of stuck with one of the previous owners. And the DMV will only issue the new title with an authorization from that owner. So we're trying to get them to sign off on allowing us to get the title so that we can get the bus off campus. So yeah, the 4 carts and the bus. What other questions do we have? All right. Well, thank you for attending. I don't have anything else. Besides my short arms, that's it. That's all I got. All right.